Hi there guys, Sam here. Welcome to another video where I compare the Mk8 Golf R to its current rival. So I'll get straight into the video really. So yes, you join me once again on Wednesday the 6th of May here in the UK. Lovely, gorgeous, sunny day. I'm just on my lunch break at work. And as always, thanks so much for the support to the channel. The subscriptions, if you've continually subscribed and watching my videos, thank you so much for that. And if you're a new subscriber, thank you for subscribing to the channel. And if you're not subscribed, please check out my previous content. Loads of Mk8 Golf R content, my Mk8 Golf R. Loads of on the latest of the Mk8 Golf R, which is really cool, so we'll go through in this video. And plenty of bits of Porsche content as well, and bits of fast forward content too. It's primarily sort of like a VW type channel, particularly on the Golf R. Yeah, it's just a nice automotive channel, and yeah, why not subscribe and get involved in the comments as well, because it's a bit of a community channel. So let's get straight into this video. So we know a fair bit more now about the Mk8 Golf R. We know it's potentially going to have around 330 brake horsepower. We know it's going to have the same 2-litre AAA engine that's in the old previous Mk7 Golf R. And as you can see here on screen, we know quite a lot about how it looks. You know, it looks quite subtle. It looks quite similar to, say, like another Golf, but you know, little touches here and there. I like the wheels. I hope the blue brake calipers stay for the actual production model. This is probably the best angle of it, maybe because of the way it's slanted on what I believe is carousel on the Nürburgring. Could be the other corner as well, but yeah, I like the look of it. It's slowly more and more growing on me, particularly from, I've done early prototype videos back in February 2020 when it was in the snow and it looked a bit weird, but I quite like it, and I quite like it in that colour. All personal preference. But let's compare it to some of its key rivals, which it's going to have to compete with, which are currently in production either today or in the future. So the first rival I want to talk about is the M135i. Now, BMW purists up in arms about how it lost its rear-wheel drive, it's lost its 6-cylinder turbocharged engine, and it lost a bit of its character and a bit of its soul from that. And you know, I 100% kind of get that, but you know, times move on. There's no way a 6-cylinder car is going to survive in a small hatchback market. It's just not. There's too many laws and rules coming in, and yeah, it just doesn't make any sense for a manufacturer. As great as those cars were, you know, they certainly, you know, the engine was the heart of the car, and the fact that it was rear-wheel drive. I always found that personally those cars from test drives, they were a little bit more GT, less hot hatch, you know, quite comfortable and relaxing to kind of cruise on. You know, you let the engine kind of do its thing. Masses of power, no doubt on that. Manual gearbox wasn't that great. Personally, I found it was always a bit rubbery. If you want that kind of car, you're probably better off going for the ZF8 speed, and a lot of people did. And if you do, you've got a car which I think they said 340 brake horsepower, but a lot of people dynoed them and they were sort of 360, 370 out of the box. Yeah, very fast cars. So this M135i, how is it going to stack up against the Mk8 Golf R? Well, you'd be surprised to know it's also 4-wheel drive, it's also got a 2-litre engine, and it's also going to have around 300 brake horsepower. Well, I say going to have around 300 brake horsepower. This car is already out, and we know it does have 300 brake horsepower. I can tell you it looks exactly the same as any other 1 Series car. That picture I've got there in blue, there is a car literally just down my road. It's a 116D or a 118i, one of those, in that colour, and it looks exactly the same. Now, I'm not saying it looks bad, although, you know, how big can a grille actually get on a car? This is certainly pushing it for a 1 Series. But yeah, they really look very similar to the lesser models, which kind of loses its appeal a little bit, but it does make it a bit of a Q car. And I think all the cars I'm going to talk about in this segment do have that kind of, you know, they blend in basically. So it's lost its sort of rear-wheel drive ability. Now, I have spent a little bit of time in this, not driving it, but actually being inside, and I really like the seats and the infotainment, and it's all great on that side. But particularly from a lot of reviews from driving, it doesn't sound like the most exhilarating driving experience ever. It looks quite smooth, quite relaxing. Again, no manual gearbox. a nice cruiser, a nice car for day-to-day people really, with plenty of punch. You know, it'll do 0 to 60 in, you know, under 5 seconds. It's not a slouch. It'll probably upset some bigger cars in higher segments, but yeah, it's got that going for it. I'll try to move away from my personal preference because I would probably stay away from this car, particularly comparing it to a Mk8 Golf R. But it's what its rival, it's what it has to kind of compete with. Now, I'm not specifically talking about cars within the VW sector. You know, you look at, say, the new Audi S3 that's coming out. We've got like a prototype image here of that, because fundamentally it's a Golf R underneath with a higher price tag and an Audi badge. Really, and better interior. That's kind of what you're going to expect. Also, higher servicing costs and all of the lovely bits that come with a more premium brand. Also, Seat, it's all going to be very similar, equivalent to what you get from a Mk8 Golf R. So there's not really too much point of comparing it. It's basically what grade of car you want. Do you want a car that's like, hopefully, well, it's going to be slightly less, say like a Seat, or something slightly more like the Audi. Obviously, the likes of the RS3, even goes to like the A35S that's come out. It's in a different price point, so it's not worth comparing that to the Mk8 Golf R. The good thing about, say, go back to the M135i already being out, the Mk8 Golf R knows what it has to kind of compete with, and I can guarantee you VW testers would be testing that car 100%, driving that around, seeing what they can improve on it, and they can kind of get the upper hand on it. So that's a good position for the Mk8 Golf R to be in. Yeah, and compared to the BMW, I would definitely recommend them. I think the Mk8 Golf R's got a really good chance of being a better car than that one. Moving on to kind of the other key rival the Mk8 Golf R's got to compete with, again, outside of the VW sector. Again, it's German brand. It's already out. It's the Mercedes A35 AMG. Looks quite cool in white with the aero package there. And again, you're looking at a 300 brake horsepower, 2 litre engine, 4-wheel drive. They're all very, very similar. And because of that, it's a case of the badge, really. I've heard these cars drive quite well. You know, they're less... Mercedes had a knack of having like the A250 back in the previous A-Class, not particularly being that great at all, not really having anything sophisticated about it in the slightest. And then obviously they had the A45, which, you know, had plenty of trickery, particularly with that engine. This car sounds like it's a much better car to drive, and it's at a better price point than where they had the A45. In the UK, both the M135i that I've talked about and the A35, all around sort of £35,000 in the UK. So you can kind of get the impression that the Mk8 Golf R is going to be £35,000. But I think the big thing on costs is you're just going to be paying so much more for servicing. I know plenty of owners who, well, a friend who had a CLA 45, I know how much the costs are for that, for like servicing and, yeah, insurance. Everything is tougher because you're paying for the badge. That is what you're paying for. The swanky interior is really, really cool, particularly with the virtual dash, but the way technology changes and, you know, software changes every 5 seconds, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's superseded within a year or two, as nice and as cool as it is. The one thing I will say that I've heard more about this car, particularly more so from reviews, is that it's quite a firm ride, so that's something to look out for as well. So there we go. So that's only 2 cars I've mentioned there to kind of compare the Mk8 Golf R to, but I think those are the 2 that it's kind of got to be looking out for. And I think the main thing to kind of think about is genuinely price, because there's going to be so little between these cars. Manufacturers have worked out what is the best, you know, to get the best sales volume, how to make it cost effective, all this kind of thing. They've all got the same engine, they've all got the same drivetrain, they've all got the same similar type of gearbox. They, you know, they're all going to be automatics. To be honest with you, I can't see any of them being a manual, or in the future being a manual. And actually, I think when it comes to, like, from my personal experience with VW, servicing, insurance, I've always found to be far better than the likes of BMW and the likes of Mercedes. You tend to get stung less. So if you're looking at a car for, say, 4 years, or for generally how long I have my cars for, then you probably, and you're worried a little bit about costs, I'd probably say the Golf R is a safer bet. I mean, that engine has been knocking around now since, yeah, for a long time in different variants, that EA888 engine. It's no real different in this latest Mk8 Golf R. BMW, for example, have had to redesign an engine, basically, because they always had straight 6s in their sort of little M-like cars. So you've got to think about those kind of things. What I would love to do is to do a back-to-back between all three cars once the Mk8 Golf R is out, and sort of compare it to what I'm saying now. You know, I might end up saying, oh, listen, the driving dynamics have got to be important for cars in this segment, and I'm sure you would agree. The final thing I'd like to say is that hot hatches are fantastic, and I would recommend people to get involved in them, because for most people, size-wise, it's all you need. You know, unless you've got a family full of people who are 6'5", in which case, yes, you probably would need to go for a grade above in terms of car size. You're really okay. You can have a small family with this kind of car, and you can do your day-to-day life with them, and they can upset far superior cars, which is always that, you know, that cool little aspect. They will look very similar to their lower down the range siblings. A35 without an aero kit looks pretty similar to an A180D. Same as what I've said about the BMW M135i, and I'm sure I'll be saying the same about the Mk8 Golf R. So it's got that Q car about it. So don't think you should be getting these cars for an out-and-out showy styling thing. I suppose if you're looking at that kind of thing, A35 is probably going to win if you get the aero package on it. So there you go, there's some of the rivals that the Mk8 Golf R has to worry about. I think it's got the upper hand by the fact that they've come out first and it can kind of learn from them. But let me know what you think. What would you kind of go for? What's your preference of car? You know, have you driven either of the other two that are out? You know, what do you think of them, and where do you think maybe the Mk8 Golf R can improve? But yes, thanks so much for watching and supporting the channel. Plenty more Mk8 Golf R content to come. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Cheers, guys.